Whenever I talk about remaining unchanged, regardless of the circumstances in your life, I am not talking about a technique or some skill that you develop per se, as much as what I am pointing at is that there is already something within you that remains unchanged, and it always has. It is discovering that and staying in that space, as opposed to what we have created in our life as a habit, which is coming out of that place and reacting constantly to emotions and worldly stimulus and intrusive thoughts and all of these other aspects of mind that we are constantly being changed on the outside of who we are because we're chasing or resisting everything. So I think sometimes when I talk about remaining unchanged, you are just this pillar of spaciousness, regardless of what happens in your life. I think sometimes there's a misconception that someone thinks, how do I develop that skill? Especially when the things that are happening to me are very painful and I need to take up for myself, or I need to defend myself, or some action is needed. Okay. Yes. Remaining unchanged does not mean that we are non-active. It doesn't mean that something arises within us to defend or to make decisions or whatnot. So let's start from the very beginning, because I know some of you are like on the verge of really getting what I'm saying. And it's not just getting what I'm saying to understand something or to be intellectual. I by no means would consider myself an intellectual, nor is this discovery that I made something that even came from intellect. So let's start over. Okay, so if you have been programmed in your life to think how you think, to feel how you feel, to believe what you believe, and I would suggest that 99.9% of the human population has exactly been programmed that way. Dating all the way back until you were a few weeks old, a few months old. The first time your parents said no and created some kind of barrier for you. And then as time goes on, more and more of these little barriers box you in to what you think is acceptable or what you can be. Sometimes we revolt against those barriers, but even revolting against a barrier is still being controlled by the barrier, not by spontaneity, not by being in the moment. So if you have been programmed, and if you can be unprogrammed, which you can, or if you can be reprogrammed, which you can, and let's just say you go through 100 programs, unprograms, reprograms your whole life, you reinvent yourself, you hit the reset button, you become somebody different, you change this, you change that. And if I were to say to you, how long have you been here on this planet? And you said, I've been here for 30 years. Okay. What is this I that you're claiming to be that's been here for 30 years. If who you are right now is completely different than who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 25 years ago, what is the consistent thing within you? What is always stayed the same within you? Your body has changed. Your thinking has changed. Sometimes our eating habits, our relationships, all of it change. Occupation, it changes. So if all of this is constantly changing, how can you claim that who you are now is who you were when you were, say, 12 years old? If I say, how much alike are you now as compared to 12? And you might say, not much at all. Then how can you still claim that you're the same person? You say, well, it's the same body. I said, it's not the same body. You say, it's the same mind. I say, no, it's not the same mind. And if you really think about it, there is something there that has never changed in your life. And I'll just go ahead and spell it out, and that is awareness. The same awareness you had when you were 12 years old, if you can picture your 12th birthday party, or your first day of 6th grade or 7th grade or whatever. That awareness that you had of being in that body, in that environment, is identical to the awareness you have right now watching this video. That is the only thing that has stayed the same in your life from day to day, year to year. You are this awareness. That is your true identity. And our floating identity, our temporary identity, our illusory identity even, is usually what we claim. My name is Billy. I'm a yoga meditation teacher. I live in Kentucky, so forth and so on. And that's okay that we talk that way to get to know each other. But if I say, no, who are you really? And then you say, no, really, I am this, 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 and this. Then I want to remind you that that is not, in fact, true. You are the awareness. You are aware that you have been placed in this body and that you have these skills that you use as a career and you're in this type of relationship and you identify as XYZ. Okay? Bear with me. Because sometimes it really takes a moment to crack this open wide enough for you to say, I think I see where you're going. And we're going to use our mind for a moment. We use our mind to understand something for a moment, and then we're going to go deeper even beyond the mind. But so, that awareness is the only thing that's ever been real within you. It's the only thing that you can truly say is your identity, the I am. And that has always remained unchanged. It cannot develop a skill better than the presence that it already is. It can't have an experience, whether you label it good or bad, that is going to change the beingness of that, of who and what you are. So, I hope I've made it very clear. It's not some skill, it's not some technique that we learn. So whenever I say good things happen, bad things happen, but I remain unchanged, I don't deserve a pat on the back or a reward or something because I've developed some powerful skill. It is not a skill. I did develop skills. And every skill that I developed to take me further into my higher consciousness at some point was halted by a barrier. every skill that I developed. It was eventually halted by a barrier. And that barrier is the mind. Because at some point, we have to understand on this side of the mind how to go to the other side of the mind. And once you cross that barrier and you go beyond the mind, there's no amount of thinking or skill set or anything that can serve you on the other side. You could even say it's like a different dimension. And what happens in this 3D dimension cannot serve you in that 4D or beyond dimension. So, how can we just stay as awareness when all this good stuff or bad stuff and all this different stuff is happening to us in our life? Even if you understand what I'm saying at this point, that yes, the core truth of who you really are is this pure awareness. And then you say, but what if, like, I win the lottery? Or, what if somebody steals my car? How can I remain unchanged? And this is what I want to talk about now. First, let's clarify this. If you stay in the spaciousness of being unchanged, because you have surrendered all of the illusion that you've been habitually feeding into, now that is a skill you can develop, is letting go of all these illusions, these lies, these deceptions, these programs in your mind. You develop it by watching it and not playing into it. And you develop this concentration. You develop that ability to not get pulled out of pure awareness and into the paradigm of the matrix of the false illusory world. But that can only take you so far, like I said a moment ago. So if you are in this space right now and you say, if I win the lottery, how do I not get excited? Or how do I not jump up and down? And how do I not celebrate with friends? Nobody is saying don't do those things. I'm just saying that if in your surrender and you are no longer playing into the mind and its drama, and you are guided by this heart space, by this pure awareness, you're just kind of floating through life. La 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 la. And something floats you over to the lottery store. You play the lottery, you go home that night, and you win. Something is going to move you to jump up and down. Something is going to move you to call your mom and dad, your friends. Something is going to move you to do these things. They're not things that are thought out. So, it is not correct to believe that staying as awareness means your life becomes inactive. In fact, I would debate that your life is inactive now because you're just caught in a loop. And you're just caught in the loop of the same type of thinking, and it's just, you are inactive. Even though it may feel like you're being ultra active because of all your stress and worry. It is only when we remain unchanged as the witness, as the I am, that do we see that real action arises within us and moves us. We don't make the decision and try to move the body. The non-decision awareness within us becomes a channel for God, the universe, whatever word you like to place on it, to move through you and to move you. So, if you win the lottery in this spaciousness, and a thought comes to your mind, oh, I'm supposed to be staying as the witness, so let me just sit here and act like normal. Be quiet. Don't act like I won the lottery, because this is building some kind of spirituality. All of that is bullshit, and all of that is just going to take you down a road that leads to nothing. Not the good type of nothingness, but it takes you down the road that just leads you into a loop of ego again. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have. If I win the lottery tonight in this spaciousness, in this nothingness, this freedom, this peace, if I win the lottery, I most certainly am going to allow whatever energy moves through me to move through me, whether that's celebration, whether that's calling people or texting people, or whatever that might be. Or perhaps the energy that moves through me is quiet. I'm not going to debate with my mind that might say, you can't be quiet, you just won the lottery, etc., etc. So, now let's flip the script. But what about when something bad is happening to us? Okay, so let's say you wake up tomorrow and your car is not there. Somebody stole your car overnight, you didn't even know it. Also a misconception that people think what I'm saying when I talk about being the witness or remaining unchanged is you look out your window, the car's not there, and you go, whatever. That's not what I'm saying. Because that too is an illusion. The ego is really good at taking things that are spoken, that are there for your benefit, and flipping them into what appears like what you're seeking, but it's still just another version of the ego. So, if you say, okay, what should I do if I wake up and the car's gone? You see, there is no answer for that. If you are in the moment, let what moves you in that moment move you. That is the answer. There's no fixated answer for any of this. Perhaps you wake up, you look out, you say, my car's gone. Call the police, you file a report. But you stay as the awareness. You stay as the observer. And even if you get upset and you're crying that somebody stole your car, you are observing the crying. You're not trying to stop the crying. See, that's another misconception. And I know all this may sound like just a load of crap, honestly. It would have to me 20 years ago if I was watching this video. But it's these fine details that people get caught on, that they're right on the edge of this powerful, beautiful spiritual awakening where they can just literally relax in the depths of their own soul and watch this life play itself out. They're right there, but they're getting caught up in these tiny little details, and it's creating a blockage for you. And if I can, I want to help you become unblocked. So if I can play on the example of waking up and somebody is stealing your car or stole your car, I want to tell you a story that happened to me in 2013 when I opened up a yoga studio called Raja Hot Yoga in Clarksville, Tennessee. I had a bike that I would ride around primarily for fitness, not necessarily for transportation, that I would park right outside in front of the studio. I was standing at the front desk one day and the windows were tinted where from inside we can clearly see outside, but from outside people could not see inside. And standing at this front counter right by the front door of the yoga studio, I see a car pull up, which is common because we have classes all the time. Cars are always pulling up. But a guy gets out of the car, and he's looking kind of suspicious. He walks over, he grabs my bike that's sitting there, and he proceeds to go and put it in his trunk. I believe if I had machines hooked up to me that day, my heart rate did not go up one single beat. Blood pressure did not go up at all watching this play itself out. Now, who I was, 10 years, 20 years prior to that, I would have been elevated biologically, and I would have been ready to fight somebody or defend or just like this angst, okay? Now, if I were to tell my old self, just stay as the awareness as you're watching this happen, my old self might have said, I'm not going to let somebody steal my bike. That's not what I'm saying. And I hope somebody is catching what I'm saying here. So what did I do that day? I see the guy doing this. I put my shoes on because I was barefoot, and I walked outside, not even a fast pace or anything. I walked outside. I said, hey man, what's going on? And he kind of looked at me really weird, and he said, nothing. And I said, that's my bike right there that you're putting in this trunk. And he goes, oh, yeah, my bad. I thought this was somebody else's bike. They told me to come pick it up. Of course, he's full of shit. And I said, yeah, it's no worry, man. I understand things like that happen sometime. And he took my bike out of his trunk. He went back and set it up against the wall. And he drove away. I remained unchanged by the incident, but I was not inactive in the incident. In fact, I was more fully alive and active in that moment than I would have been 20 years prior to walk out there and want to fight somebody or threaten to call the police or whatever. That is what I'm talking about being the awareness. Just watch how the natural energy, watch how the natural awareness within you, it's the exact same awareness from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, however old you are. Same exact awareness. All I'm saying is just be what you already are. Just stay as what you already are. You say, how do I get there? Then I'm going to say, then drop the fucking bullshit that you've picked up along the way that you are falsely claiming now to be who you are. That's the key. That's the ticket. This is not a technique that you learn. I don't even call it wisdom, because it's beyond even wisdom. Because I feel like wisdom belongs to the mind, and this is beyond the mind. You are opening your heart like a satellite dish. You remember what a satellite dish is? And these frequencies and signals from the universe are moving through you perfectly clear. And you're just watching it all play itself out. Okay? So let's take another case here. Let's just say you are in a custody battle with your ex. And you and your ex have been going at it for a year. You win one little court battle with the judge. You lose one little court battle with the judge. Your ex does this. Then it gets quiet for a while and you think everything's going to work itself out, and then they pull the rug out from underneath you and they do something else to enrage you. How can you remain unchanged when something like that is going on in your life? This is how you do it. No different than anything else. It's no different than if you were winning the lottery. First and foremost, you've got to drop everything you've been holding on to for all these years. Now, the first obstacle you're going to run into is your mind is going to tell you, I can't drop all of this. It's all these weapons I have against this person, and I need to keep them ready to go in case I need them. And I'm telling you, if you don't drop those weapons, you will never move beyond the suffering. I will also tell you that by dropping the weapons, you are not giving in to them. You are not giving up to them. You are giving something up that's way more powerful than you or them. And that is what is going to feed your soul and bring the answer to every little moment in your life by just staying as the awareness and watching it play out for you. Because this whole time you've just been getting in your way. And you are taking what is an amount of suffering, and you are allowing that to expand larger and larger within you. So now the suffering is huge and you can't deal with it. But if you take this moment and let it all go, let the past go, even forgive. I understand. I already feel the energy of somebody saying, forgive my ex? There's no way. You are not losing by forgiving your ex. You are not suddenly, I'm not suggesting you forgive them and then suddenly, let them do a bunch of bad stuff to you. That's not what I'm saying. It's one step at a time. Don't jump ahead. First, hit the reset button, let go of everything, forgive everything, and say, now we're here in this moment, okay? If you can do that, you're better off than probably 90% of the people watching this video or listening to this podcast, because they just won't be able to do that. And I'm telling you, if you can't do that, there's a little bit of hope for you that you can at least maybe get even with them or like do something bad to them and feel good about it, but you will never find the peace in your life with your ex, nor will you find the peace in your life with all the other problems that are coming your way besides your ex. But what I'm talking about here today will solve all of the problems. So, step one is let's just hit the reset button. Forgive your ex, let it all go. I know they said a bunch of stuff, they cheated, they abused you, all of this stuff. I know, it's not cool. They should have to pay, but we're putting it all aside for right in this moment, okay? Okay, and I say, who are you in this moment? Now that you've removed that, who are you in this moment? And if what arises within you is that you say, oh, well, now I'm dealing with a parent, or I'm dealing with, a boss or something. I got all this. Okay, all right, same thing. Put it all down for this moment, okay? I say, now who are you in this moment? And if you keep bringing up more and more stuff in this conversation, then eventually I'm going to tell you that you are the problem. You are the common denominator. You are the one that needs to let go of X, Y, and Z. You need to hit a reset button in your life because perhaps people have done things to you that wasn't good, that wasn't fair, and you have suffered over it. But it is you that is making yourself continuing to suffer over that. I promise you. So just take this extra step with me. You've got nothing to lose. You're already in the midst of suffering. Hit a reset button on every person, every incident, every trauma, everything. Until you get to the point when I say, okay, now who are you? And you go, I'm not really sure. I have always based my identity on my problems, on my victimization, on my traumas and sufferings. Who am I? And this begins the beginning of the greatest discovery in your life. Is this search, okay, who am I? I don't know. It feels like nothingness. It feels like quiet. It's, what am I? Okay? That's perfect. And then if I say, just stay as that. And then suddenly you're enraged again. You say, how can I stay as this when I have to meet my ex tomorrow to drop off my child. How do I stay as that? Listen to me. Whether you choose to stay as this or not, that will always be within you. And if you choose to come out of that powerful spaciousness, you are the universe. So what I'm talking about here is you're choosing to not be the universe, which is powerful and awesome. You're choosing to be something very small and finite that is going to suffer. So you go to meet the ex, and they're the same old asshole, bitch, whatever. Watch. You owe yourself to try this. You owe yourself to practice this. To just watch what brews up without you getting in your own way. So the ex says, oh, 5 minutes late. I wouldn't expect anything else from you. You've always been late your whole life. Watch what brews up. When you clear your mind and you let everything go, watch what brews up. It will astound you what will move through you if you give yourself a chance to do this. I don't think what's going to happen is suddenly you're going to be like, you're right, I'm wrong, I've always been a bad person, here's the child, you should win full custody. No, that's not what's going to happen. But I think there's some fear in you that thinks that something that drastic is going to happen. Or they're going to say, see, I told you I was smarter than you. It's about time you wise up and do what I tell you to do. Whatever it is, you know how the mind works. That's not going to happen. And in that freedom, in your spiritual awakening, in that pure awareness, you are not more vulnerable towards the world hurting you, taking advantage of you, because all you are is the awareness. You will be aware of somebody who has an idea of taking advantage of you even before they actually do it. You will be more protected than you've ever been in your life. People falsely believe that their ego is the best thing that can defend them in this life, so they fortify that ego in every moment that they can to feel good and strong and safe. And it is an illusion. It's a false safety, because your ego will crash down in and of itself, onto itself. It happens all the time. You know it happens all the time. The only thing you can trust within yourself is to get the fuck out of the way and be this pure awareness, so God, the universe, whatever you believe in, can move through you and give you all these little intuitions and clues that you need in life to know, don't fuck with this person, stay away from that person, this person's a good person, you can trust them, don't take that job. It doesn't matter if it pays $25 an hour, do not take it, this is not good for you. Then, beyond the illusion, you are fully protected. You will go into every situation. So then, how can you claim that something good has happened to you when you are the awareness? How can something good happen to the awareness? How can something bad happen to the awareness? Because the awareness is not an entity. It's not a thing that can be manipulated or changed. And maybe it sounds scary. Well, then I'm nothing? You owe it to yourself to go down this rabbit hole and see what I'm talking about. Because on the outside of the rabbit hole, it may look dark and scary, but on the inside, it is well lit by the light and love of this universe that has always been there, will always be there. Who you are now to your core is no different than who you were to your core the day you were born. It's awareness. It's pure awareness. Stay as the awareness. Stay as the witness. Stay as the observer. Stay there in that place. It's not a skill that you develop. You already are there. It's just allowing the programs, the thoughts, the intrusive thoughts, the OCDs, the behavior issues, the traumas, the PTSDs, all of that to be viewed from that place of awareness, to be let go of from that place of awareness. And then you will see a new life unfold within you. And that's where healing begins. That's where wisdom begins. That's where your life truly becomes alive. And then when you have your meeting with the ex, you are in this place of life. You are not in the place of stagnation. You are not in the place of reliving trauma over and over and over again. Watch. Try it out. I know people who have been going in circles for 5 years with the same issue. Try something different. Try to just be the heart space. You don't have to meet your ex and pretend to be some hippie or some new agey or some enlightened or nothing. Hi, how's it going today? Okay, yeah, that's fine. No, that idea doesn't really feel good to me. I can sit with it because I want to understand your side. I want to make the best of this relationship so we can co-parent. This one thing, yes, I give you that for sure. Let me sit with this other thing because immediately it doesn't feel right, but I want to give a little space to it. You see, you're just being real. You're just being fucking real. Maybe for the first time in your whole fucking life, you're being real. You're just being real. It doesn't matter how they react. They could say, oh, you're being condescending to me. No, I'm not trying to be condescending, and I apologize if it comes across that way. I've kind of recently gone through a shift in my awareness, and I'm experiencing life differently, so it's probably is coming out weird. What if they just keep pushing you? Yeah, you've always been in some weird shit. I think you just need to grow up. I understand that perspective too. But in actuality, I feel actually more mature in this place that I'm in right now. That I'm not jumping onto every little thing that you say or anybody else says. Eventually, what's going to happen is they're just going to get really pissed off, and that's not your problem, okay? You can't own that. They have to own it. Or maybe what happens is eventually they just say, okay, well, you know what? I don't want this drama either. Let's do what we can to get along. You owe it to yourself to try something different in your life if what you've been doing is not fucking working. Don't stay in that loop. One other thing I want to say before I conclude this podcast is on one of my videos, someone had said, so if I remain unchanged, then I just guess I won't have empathy for anyone anymore. And I was genuinely confused by that because that does not make sense to me. But I really sat with what he said, and then it kind of came to me. Plus, I asked him to elaborate, and he did. So what happens to empathy when we just stay as this awareness? Again, this awareness is not an awareness of inaction. It is the awareness of pure action. Action that's not tainted by the bullshit of your mind that adds in so much extra emotion and drama that causes the factual aspect of this life to become something that is not factual. Maybe there's a nugget of truth in there, but this whole thing that surrounds it is not. So, let me tell another little story. Me and my daughter, who's 14, we were walking to the store one day not far from the house. We picked up a few groceries, and then we were walking back to the house when I started hearing what sounded like a little girl yelling, "Help, help." So I'm in the spaciousness. I'm unchanged by the yelling of help. When I say I'm unchanged, I mean the awareness doesn't become illusion. I'm unchanged because the awareness stays as the awareness while I'm hearing what seems to be a little girl yelling for help. Not like drastically yelling, but kind of moderately yelling for help. So we continue to walk. My heart rate doesn't go up. Nothing changes about my biology. I began to kind of look around. Then I noticed there was this tree across the street, and I could see these little legs dangling way up in this tree. And they were dangling and kicking. So I began to run over to this tree, seeing that there was a little girl stuck up in a tree. Now, why did I run if I was just staying as the awareness? Why did I run if I'm unchanged? Because in my unchangedness, something moved through me and knew that there was, it knew without knowing, it knew without thinking, and it moved me to run. So I started running over to this tree, but I'm watching this body run as if something else is moving it. And no sooner did I get underneath that tree did the girl drop, because she had climbed way up in a tree and was holding on, and she couldn't hold on anymore. And she fell right into my arms. A movie script could not have scripted it any more perfect than what happened. I caught her. I sat her on the ground. I said, "Are you okay?" She says, "Yes, thank you." And she ran off and just started playing. The next feeling that I had in that moment is, where are her parents? But I'm still unchanged. I don't allow the mind to enter and say, where are the worthless parents? I'm calling the child services on them, or blah, 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 blah. I remain unchanged, and I floated. I floated over to the tree. Even though I was running, it was like I was floating. I caught her. I set her down. And I continued on my journey. And my daughter said, "Dad, I think you saved that girl's life." I said, "Maybe I did. Or maybe she would have fell to the ground but been okay. Who knows?" This is what I'm talking about, that the empathy is our natural state. So what happens to the empathy when we stay unchanged by the circumstances of the world? Our empathy takes action. It becomes powerful. I know way too many empaths that only suffer over their gift. They don't actually help anyone. They don't actually do anything because they're getting in their own way. I was that same type of empath. And also, empaths have these intrusive thoughts that come in that say, you should be out doing something to help people. No, you shouldn't. You should burn the whole motherfucker down and give up and give in to this awareness within. And your natural gift of empathy will rise to its most heightened level and only serve what it's supposed to serve in the given moments that it's supposed to serve. Not some facade that you are creating in your ego that you're supposed to be some kind of savior or hero in this world. Your empathy only grows more powerful, more beautiful, the more you surrender to this awareness within. To recap, this pure awareness and staying in that spaciousness is not a skill. When you decide to put down all your skills, all your ideologies, all your programs, that's what remains, and it always remains unchanged. It's a gift. It's beautiful. It's perfect. And in that unchangedness, in your beingness, you are not inactive. You are not just sitting on a log somewhere for the rest of your life. You are playing out the action as it moves through you. You are witnessing it to the perfection that it has always and was always supposed to be. You have arrived. Until then, you're just getting in your own way. Today's the day anybody can do this. Namaste.